increasing the number of FG licenses from 9 to 10, correct? Yes.
I will correct that on the consent agenda, Mayor.
And that's all I have from my report. Clerk's report?
Thank you, Mayor Ryan. Approval of the July 2019 IDOT motor fuel tax allotment in the amount of $44,557.82. That is all, Mayor Ryan.
Okay, thank you. Attorney's report. Joe Kankar is with us tonight.
Yes, Mayor. I guess on the agenda we have a presentation for the Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act. I guess in lieu of a presentation, I guess I've handed out a memo. I believe all of you have received a copy of it. I think that goes through and kind of explains the Act's effects on the municipality. So, if you have any questions, I'm willing to answer them today. But in terms of moving forward, it would be my suggestion that either we meet and have a committee go forward and try to get some regulations in place to address this as it'll go into effect on January 1, or I can take a stab at it and send it to all of you, and you can pick it apart and change stuff around as you would like. It doesn't matter to me either way, but I'll be glad to help in that process. So the IML also has a number of handouts on the web that you can look at for model ordinances and stuff. So,
Joe, that's actually what I was reading up on today was the IML recommendations. They sent out templates for ordinance and so forth then too, but I did see on the last page that you had in the memo that we really should try and have this passed no later than October 31st on what we're going to do, just to be ready for the January 1 execution date of that.
Yeah, I think if you're going to allow them, that having it done within the next couple of months allows these licensees to kind of get their businesses in order, and especially, I know the tax right now is not set to go into effect on January 1. I know they were looking at a subsequent bill to fix that, but I don't know if that's going to go through or not. So.
Well, I just have questions about enforcement. I've been just meeting with other residents of Alsip, and they would just want to know what are the impairment levels kind of like. I know that might not be, like if they get pulled over or something like that, and what's the level of impairment? So.
It's similar to what it is for alcohol.
I'm sorry.
Use the microphone, Jay. I'm sorry, Chief Miller.
Kent, can you turn that one on, please?
Or stand.
There, he's got a cordless one.
Thank you, Chief.
It's going to follow the same guidelines as alcohol. If it impairs your driving abilities, it's going to follow the same DUI type standards as it would for alcohol. The Illinois Chiefs Association just put out some reading material late last week to start educating local law enforcement. So I haven't had time to go through all of that yet, but it's going to follow pretty much the same path as alcohol.
And then a member of the business community just asked about enforcement when they're, I guess, drug screening and stuff like that on the job and so forth like that. So it's like a Pandora's box right now. I know that's a lot of literature you have to read through and stuff like that, but just wanted to throw out there just questions that have been brought to my attention. Just, how to, on the employment side, how do they kind of navigate that as well?
Well, I know employers totally have the right to continue to prohibit the use of cannabis. So they can continue to have a zero tolerance policy and randomly test employees, and if you test positive, you can be terminated. I mean, the state law or making marijuana legal does not change that.
But then they just have to bring their, I guess, this is a registration, like if they have it for medical use or something like that? Or
but employers can still prohibit that. If they have a zero tolerance policy, they can, because they can restrict the use of prescription medication while you're on the job as well, because of positions like driving a forklift where you can, be impaired. And it's about employee safety. So employers can continue to 100%. My employer does not allow anybody to be on the job while impaired in any way, shape, or form. And even if you blew 0.01 in terms of alcohol, you can be terminated. So the employers still have that right. Correct, Joe?
There's going to be there's ADA issues, but yes, in terms of the adult use aspect of it, they can absolutely prohibit it. If it's a medical use, there's always going to be jobs that are not going to, there's going to be zero tolerance for.
Okay, just wanted to share what others are sharing with me or asking. Thank you.
Joe, do you see any issues with just on the other side of life with even like landlords and rental agreements, that's really all it's going to speak for itself. Your lease is going to say whether or not you can smoke.
Correct. And they can prohibit that as well.
Exactly. Okay. So yeah, there's a lot of different aspects of this. I thought Joe's memo was excellent. I actually was doing a lot of highlighting on my copy of everything, and I tell you, I did quite a bit of it here yet too, as far as taxation, municipal powers and regulation, advertising. You know, there's even, as you noted in her too, Joe, is that even the advertising for a business like this, the state is saying it prohibits actually putting up a sign with like a marijuana leaf or anything like that out there too. These are going to be professionally designed signage and so forth, and it's not going to get carried away and look dopey and make your town look cheap and everything else and stuff then too. You know?
Dope.
Yeah.
Guys.
That'd be a good name for a joint, Dopies. Just saying. Dopies.
But ultimately, you can allow them, you can not allow them. You can allow smoking on premises. You can prohibit that. If you're going to allow them, then I suggest you do the tax. You know, so if you don't allow them, no point in doing the tax, obviously. So.
Well, as Joe said, this was just, and Joe was ready to speak to any questions. I thought the memo was pretty thorough. I would be my suggestion at an, as you just said, Joe, an upcoming meeting, committee meeting where we can take more time at this. Let's certainly put any questions in front of us, and let's have one good meeting before we discuss whether or not we want to allow the sale of this in our community, and we got to do that by the end of October.
Yeah, keep in mind that it'll affect your zoning ordinance, so we'll have to give the 30-day notice and have a hearing and then pass the ordinance, so that comes into play as well.
Okay. Trustees, any other questions? Not right now?
That's all I have.
No.
Thanks, Joe. Next was the engineer's report.